Hey guys, today I have someone I met at an audition. She's been in my brain ever since. She comes across as a great actress, which I actually gave her the part, and it didn't work out for timings and whatnot. Um, but here is Taylor Rice. She's amazing. She's a great actress from Ohio, and we're going to ask her how she does it all.
Thank you so much for having me, Ejaz. I've loved also following your work since we've got connected over the last few months. I'm an actress. I live in Ohio. I got my start in the Midwest, which is a daunting task, but it's been very fun. I feel very blessed to have built my career in kind of a more dry, challenging market or a place where people might not think actresses and models could really thrive. But I've not found that to be the case. I found so much opportunity. I found amazing people to work with. And I'm going on like my third year of like full-time professional acting, even though it's been in my life a lot longer than that. And I'm really proud of my success, and it's just going to keep going up from there.
Tell us what makes you want to be an actress? I mean, why not be a fashion designer or why not be a accountant? Why an actress?
It's just the most fun thing in the world to me. Like, there's nothing more fun that I can imagine. I was on set once, and the director said it was taking a little bit longer than the call sheet. He said, "I'm sorry, guys. I'm sure there's a million other places you'd like to be right now." And I just thought, I was like, no, like where else? Like I literally have nowhere else to be that would be this fun. So that's a simple answer. The like deeper answer, I guess, is that there's nothing else in life that gives me that same feeling of like I'm flying, like I'm doing exactly what I'm made to do, that I'm adding meaning and value into people's lives, than acting. Just nothing else makes me feel just completely like myself. And so to really put all my resources and make so many sacrifices and go all in on this, I felt like I owed it to myself. I thought, well, if this is what I really want to do, what makes me feel like what I'm designed to do, I can, dabble in it, have it be like a hobby, which is totally great, and do a safer, more steady job and be kind of sad and unexpressed, or I can put my whole self into this crazy industry and deal with the challenges that come along and feel alive in my life. And I was like, I deserve that. I feel like everybody deserves that. And I have found a way to make that happen in a way that works for me.
Have you had any kind of a formal education in acting? Because, in this industry, you have the actors who are born actors, they don't do anything, no school, no nothing. And then there are people who go and study. So, which one are you?
I would say like I'm pretty much a mix, but more like on the study part. I definitely was not one of those people that was born kind of into the industry that had a lot of connections. I had one film connection in my life, like before I started. I grew up doing musical theater, like in my high school, like I'm sure many people do. Um, and in college, I went to Miami University in Ohio, and I did study theater there for about 2 years.
Nice.
I ended up finishing with psychology, um, and I dropped the theater major. And I kind of had this time in my life where, from my sophomore year of college till 2020, where I just was pretty disconnected from myself, from that love of creativity. Um, I don't really know what happened. I think about it a lot of like why I got disconnected there. But in 2020, my one film connection asked me to be in like a proof of concept thing. He cast me in it, and it brought me back to myself. And I said to my husband, I was like, what am I doing? Like this is it for me. Like it just felt so right. And so I was in graduate school at the time for counseling. I was on track to be a marriage counselor, and I dropped that and I took a local acting class that I found on a Facebook group. It's like, hi, what do I do? Basically, is what I typed. And they said, hey, join this acting class. From there, I was able to get an agent because I had a showcase at the end of the class, and just kind of kept learning from there and self training along the way and finding really good teachers.
For some reason, and call me, call me a photographer who doesn't forget, because of course, my upbringing was photography, I should say that. So I don't look at you as someone from Ohio, right? So I just don't. And I don't know too many people in Ohio. So I cannot even make that statement. Actually, I take it back. Our one of our actors, Mike, he's from Ohio as well. But bottom line, I don't look at you as Ohio. And I'm saying to myself, how does she even manage to get work in Ohio? Now, this is an ignorant New Yorker, mind you. Please don't don't
You're
quiz me
good.
on that. But and I think that would be really helpful for other, or the girls or guys who are listening to this interview. Like, how do you manage to work?
So I should say I do commercial work as well as like narrative film work, and that's feature films, TV series, and short films. So I do all of that. Um, the way that I've managed to make it work and get work is I have a ton of different agents. I think I have 5 or 6 right now. I have a lot in the Midwest area, but I also have some in Texas, in Utah, in Florida, Michigan, like kind of all over. So with my agents, my work pool is really big. So I'm auditioning a lot, I'm submitting a lot. I don't just rely on like one source of auditions and bookings. I also self submit all the time on Actors Access, Casting Networks, Backstage are the 3 that I use the most. Um, and for me, I've also, I would say those are, I mean, that's all where I get my jobs from. Now, I will say I don't completely live on that income. I make like really decent money. I actually make more money than my 9 to 5 job that I left, like sitting here 3 years from now, which I think is really great in this market. But I also equipped myself to have a business on the side, because even sometimes, like, you could be working a lot in on a commercial set in films, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you don't get paid for like 3 or more months after the fact, and so you're like, I need to supplement myself. And I think a lot of people, I don't know, might not see that as like, oh, you're not like a full-time actress, or like, I don't want to do that. I think of it as I'm equipping myself with resources to pour into my acting and giving myself flexibility. So I think that there's plenty of work here if people are willing to give themselves a huge work pool. Like, other places you might be able to have just one agent or self submit all the time, but here you really have to go big.
Are those agents only submitting you in Ohio, or are they also submitting you with New York work and LA work and so on?
It's mostly like the Midwest. I do have one agent in Cleveland who has submitted me actually for the Coen brothers, and I've actually auditioned for them before, but that's few and far between, like those kind of opportunities. Now,
Yeah.
sometimes if there's like Wildcat with Ethan Hawke came and filmed in Kentucky a while back, and one of my agents was casting for that because it was, local there. So every once in a while, you'll get these really big opportunities that come through, but it's a lot of commercial. It's a lot of like lower budget indie work, which there's nothing wrong with. Like, there's great people, there's
Yeah.
great characters to play.
One of the biggest challenges that I think most of the girls, at least, they used to say to me is, how do you get an agent? Like, we would
Yeah.
literally have people knocking at my studio and like, hey, I need an agent. How do I get an agent? I've seen
Hmm.
your work, but how do I get an agent? How did you
Hmm.
manage to get 5?
Yes. For me, it started with I took a local acting class in Columbus, Ohio, and there was a showcase element at the end of it where that acting studio invited all the agents in the area to come watch the actors perform after they'd gone through the class. And so it was like a scouting situation.
Yeah.
The agents came, watched us, and if they were interested in interviewing anybody, they would like handpick them. So I think everybody that came was interested in me, and I ended up just, I interviewed with all of them, picked one to go with that I thought was the best for my needs. I will say though, let this be an encouragement. Like, they picked me up off of one performance that they saw. I didn't have any headshots. I didn't have any like full body, like fashion modeling pictures, nothing at all. They just really liked my look and I guess my performance at the time. Like, I don't know how good it was like years ago now, but they saw something. So as helpful as it is to have like really good pictures and really good headshots right away, sometimes like they'll accept just like selfies of you. Like, they really care about your look. A lot of agents will have, self-submit forms just on their websites that you can submit yourself. A lot are, as you get like higher up in the industry, by referral only. And so that means, creating relationships with acting studios, with casting directors, which takes a little bit more time. But you can just submit yourself to a lot of them to get your foot in the door and to start working.
I have been around this industry for a very long time, and I met you online. And one of the reasons why you stick in my head, and you're always there, is because of the confidence that you have created in my mind about you, right?
I will write that down. Thank you. Yeah.
And if I say to myself, if she's so confident, then she will serve the purpose of choosing her as an actress or even a model. If you were you were coming in for a casting for a modeling job or anything. And so do you think that plays a huge part in you getting these five different agents? Because not everybody has the confidence that you do. And to support it, I should say, to support it, you have the looks and you have the talent, right?
Sure.
Now, someone who's not as good looking as you are and who doesn't have the confidence, what do? Should they start getting better at confidence first?
I think it's hugely important, both as a like marketing tool, but also just as a life happiness tool. Like, confidence is a tool. It's not the end game. It's like, okay, now I'm confident, I win. It's like, no, confidence is like the tool you use that helps you do things, help you um, achieve dreams and achieve goals. Because here's the thing about, and I love that you brought this up, casting does want to see level of confidence because, gosh, if you don't show up on set like knowing what you're doing and that you can be capable and flexible and change to a direction, like, you're just going to be like hard to work with. That's not to discourage, like, oh, if you're not confident you don't have a chance. I think confidence is something you can build. And I think it starts with, um, like, do you like want this enough? Do you feel like you owe it to yourself? Because if you believe in yourself, like, other people will see that and they'll believe in you. And that sounds kind of like, oh, believe in yourself, like cliche or whatever, but it's incredibly powerful. Um, so I know for me, I always like, I do have kind of a natural confidence, but I'm always doing things that intimidate me and scare me because I know on the other side of that is where I grow. And on the other side of that is even more confidence to take on even more challenges.
Right.
Um, so I would say, like, you don't need it to like get started. I would say, like, just get started, do stuff, and it will come. But once you start building that confidence, like, please flaunt it. Like, do not hold back. Like, don't be an egotistical jerk about it, but be like, I belong here. Like, I know that I do, and I'm just telling you that I do, and you can agree with me or not, but that's the truth.
Right.
I think goes a long way.
I think it's very encouraging what you just said to people who are going to listen to you. Because, yes, as a director or a photographer, I look for that. And
Mm-hmm.
I will try to shake you down in my audition.
Sure.
I do. And if you can hold me against the wall in the audition, then I know that you are the right partner, you know. So
Yes.
I think that's what I remember about you in the audition. You were there, you were like, you will not treat me the way you want to treat me. I am someone, and I will speak to you the way, with respect. And I think that went a long way for me.
I think too, confidence can sometimes get a bad rap where it's like, oh, people can be self-absorbed or intimidating. And I offer the perspective that when you're confident, you're able to serve others better because you're not thinking about yourself, because you're like, I'm good, I'm secure, I can be there and listen to what you need. Whether it be like a direction that the director wants to change something on set, or encouraging another actor who might be new. Like it's so rewarding to just take someone under your wing and be like, you're doing awesome. Like, what do you need from me to help you? And to be able to mentor others. So I think confidence is a very selfless way to live because it's not on you. It's, I'm good. Let's focus on you. Let's make something together.
Right.
Because it's very collaborative. And I did want to say one note about if people are insecure about how they look, I am telling you that like you do not need to look a certain way. You do not need to like fit a traditional mold. There are so many parts in film and there's so many different brands and looks in modeling that there's room for everybody. There really is.
Right.
And especially if you have that confidence, they'll just be like so attracted to you, if you're not secure about how you look, or it might be a little like different than maybe traditional things. That's
Yeah,
a strength in the industry, I would say. So
definitely.
you owe it to yourself to just believe in on how you look and that it's valuable.
I was filming in North Dakota. Bad on me because, my actor, it was his first day on set,
Mm-hmm.
right? We've been filming for about 10 days now, and then he arrives, and I throw him on the first day, early in the morning, in a scene which I should have thought about it and put him there on the second day, let him get used to the camera. But I put him on
Yeah.
the first day, and there were 28 background actors. It was a huge scene.
Mm,
Now, all
yeah.
of a sudden, I put him there, confident actor, very confident actor, but I see he's sitting on the stool, and he's shaking. And I
Mm,
walk over to him. I'm like, everything okay? And he's like, yeah, yeah, everything is fine. But I can see his hand is going out of
yeah.
control, and it's doing this.
Oh, yeah.
And I felt like a horrible director at that point because I should have waited and put him in on the second or the third day, but I threw him in
Oh.
exactly on the first day. And I could see that he was having a issue because
Mm.
it was such a big scene. There were so many people around, and these were just background. Now I know he's a confident actor. I know he knew all his lines really well.
Mhm.
How would you prepare for a scene like that?
I think that it's difficult. It can be difficult for anybody to just come into a room with strangers and then be expected to be vulnerable and perform your part that you worked really hard on and that you're excited about. That can just be really nerve wracking. So it's just knowing yourself as a person. And gosh, if you can connect with people before you get there, whether it's online or um, give yourself a pep talk even just in your car before you get out, like you're good, whatever you need to do, that's great. But I also don't think it's such a bad thing to like have nerves. I think everybody can
Oh,
have that.
I do. I do.
Yeah.
And I'm not in front of the camera. I do, even as a director, my first scene, the first 10 seconds, it's crazy for me. when I go on set, I
Mm.
mean, go on stage to have a public conversation, I mean, public talk, I am nervous. My heart is like pounding. And
Yeah.
the first 10 seconds are done and I'm back home. I feel good about it. So
Mhm.
I have never prepared for that.
Mm.
I just jump, throw myself into it. But I wonder if there are tactics that you may use to overcome that kind of nervousness.
But kind of the things that I said for me is like, where's the bathroom? Where's the snacks? Where do I put my stuff down? I want to chat with the makeup artist. Like that's typically my first like connection is like, hey, I mean, for me, it's like typically a woman, typically, sometimes it's not, but
No,
just
no,
to
no.
have that.
I'm laughing because I interviewed a friend of mine who is a makeup artist, Sean, and he's an Emmy winning makeup artist. I've been working with him for a while, so I thanked him. I said, "Hey, I have to tell you something. You guys are my therapist because when
Oh,
actress comes in and goes to the makeup artist, she's nervous. But when she leaves the makeup room and she comes to me, she's confident. So yeah, I mean that's the reason why I'm laughing because yes, I think makeup artists do something to my models or actors that when they come back to me, they're like confident as can be. Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
How do you prepare for your dialogues? Like how do you learn them? How do you are you always good in school? Like do you memorize stuff or what how did that happen?
I have this really handy two apps that I use. One is called Cold Read, and you can import all of your lines, whether it's for an audition, whether it's for a role that you're preparing for, and it will like be your reader and read the lines back to you, so you can say your character's lines, and then it will say the other character's lines, and you can just go over it, so you get the flow, and just get the actual words in your brain. We Audition is another great one. You can hire a reader for usually like pretty cheap, or there's people for free on there who will read with you and help you work a scene to help you memorize it. Also, I think with memorizing the lines, it's helpful to memorize or get a feel for the beats as well in the scene. Because then there's like an emotional or just some energy, like a charge to the words that you're saying. You're like, okay, this line is going to feel kind of like this, and it's going to move the energy of the scene into this. And I think kind of getting a feel for that flow of the scene helps get the words in as well, for me. So some people will try to like memorize their lines when they're like half asleep, or like, I don't know, there's some wild stuff out there that I've not delved into, but yeah, that's what I do for lines.
That there are two kind of actors again. One who memorize the other actors' lines and their lines, and
Hmm.
the others are the ones who only memorize their lines and let emotion play a part on listening
Hmm.
to the other actor. Where are you
Hmm.
in that? Do you listen or do you memorize both lines?
I absolutely have a familiarity with the other actors' lines, to know my cue and everything, or if they do something different, I can just be ready for that. Cause I'm like, oh, they're doing something different. Okay, gotta really like hone in. But yeah, I think there's a naturalness that comes when you're like, I don't know their lines that well, so I really need to like listen to what they're saying to me and I know my line, but let the delivery of it be heavily influenced by how they are delivering their line right here in this moment. Um, I think keeping yourself on your toes and keeping that energy so you're not like totally lax and comfortable and just rote saying the lines over and over again is really helpful and really fun, because there's always a little bit of improv, I think, in every scene that happens, even if you've rehearsed it a dozen times.
What I learned is, I go with energy, right? If you're my acting scene partner, and I don't get the energy that you are supposed to give me, then I cannot be who I am trying to be as an actor myself. So
Totally.
where how do you handle a situation where if somebody comes in totally, I had a drink and it turned into six drinks last night, so I didn't memorize my lines.
I was literally on a set like months ago now, over a year ago now, and somebody, one of the actors, I didn't have to act with him very much, thankfully. Um, he could not. I can't even describe the devastation. He couldn't say one line. It was stuttering. It was mixing words up. It was um sorry guys, like I'm anxious right now, blah blah. There was always something, and it cost the production a lot of money just of the time that it took to like get his performance out. For me, I was thankful that I wasn't like across from him. And for me, it's like, I don't see it as my place to be like, director, you just need to recast this guy and we just need to reshoot. Like, even though that's what I was thinking, like, I was like, that's not my place. I definitely take the encouraging route. I try to have really good relationships with all the actors and the crew and the director. And if somebody's really struggling like that, I just try to be curious and empathetic. I'm like, hey, like, is everything okay? Like, are you having a medical episode? Like, not to be funny about it, but like, is something really hindering you here? Like, what support do you need? And how the director handles it, like that's him or her. And I just try to be really supportive. And I think there's still ways to, if they're not giving you what you need or like what you've rehearsed or what you've planned, to still have a really good scene. I think it just requires um, just really good acting skills where you can listen and then still make the scene really interesting with what they're giving you. I think there's always a way, and it might not be like the best it could be, but it's like the best you're going to get working with it. And I think you can still um, have fun if you're like, okay, this is just a challenge. We're just going to do this. And they might look really silly on the screen, but I'm not going to look silly because I'm not going to try to push something that's not there. I think that's the worst thing that you could do, because it'll feel unnatural and the audience will sense that.
Acting is one of, for me, it's one of the most challenging jobs one can take, because when you have a camera in your face, whether you're an actor or whether you're just taking pictures of your family, when you have a camera in your face, people have a tendency of just freezing. Now you
Mm-hmm.
have to perform in front of the camera, and that job is such a tedious job, because
Mm-hmm.
I was in school and my professor, my acting teacher, said, um, you know, he gave me a part, and I was standing there in front of all the other students. They must have been 25, I don't know. And they seemed like they were 5,000 watching me because
Sure.
I was there.
Yeah.
And he said that he needed emotions, and looking at a piece of paper, and there was nothing written on the piece of paper, but I was supposed to read a letter to somebody. I don't know what the whole thing was, but
Mm.
and I'll be honest with you, after I was done, everybody was clapping and he was very happy with it. But the fact
Mm.
of the matter is that I was so nervous that I started to cry.
Well, you did it. That's great.
I was
Wow.
crying in class. I
Yeah.
started to cry with tears, not because I'm an actor. I could never do what you guys do. I was nervous as hell, you know? And I have to
I
be
love
honest,
that.
I have done, at this point, I had already done a lot of public speaking.
Mhm.
But the fact
Mm.
that I had to deliver a certain thing at a certain time, that was the challenging part. And knowing that everybody's looking at me to perform, I started to cry, which turned out to be on my side because they thought I did a great job, but I didn't. how do you deal with some? Did you ever get into a position like that?
Public speaking and then acting, they're similar, but they're very different because,
Totally.
like, yeah, I think acting with your job is to be like that vulnerable. And I always take the position where I try to find something in the character that I'm working on that I'm like, that's me. Like, that's where I see me in that character, even if it's just the teeniest thing. And then I blow that up and just live in that for that character. And that can be really intimidating because you're like, this isn't like I don't know if people know this, but like this is like me being me sometimes. And maybe I just want them to think it's me being the character because this is really hard for me. Um, I think that if you feel nervous and like you're not in it, you're not super connected, and you're just scared shaking out of your mind, I think that's okay. I don't think acting needs to feel a certain way as long as you get the job done and you have the skill to use what you're feeling or just be like putting you in a box. I have to do this. I have to feel this way right now or present this way right now. I think however you need to get it done is how you need to get it done. I know for me recently, well, a few months ago, I was doing a role and it was the last day of a long shoot. And it was like the climactic, really emotional, dramatic monologue. And I I was like, I'm not going to get a lot of sleep. I already knew that. I'm already exhausted from the rest of the shoot. This monologue is like really challenging for me personally because there was a lot of things that were like connected to my personal life that I was like, this is just going to be a challenge to like get through. And I've been putting off memorizing it because it's emotional for me. So it was this like very trying scene. And so in the morning, it's pretty early. It's like 7 in the morning. We're like fighting with the light. Um, and I'm like, I probably have one great take of this just because I'm exhausted and this is exhausting to say. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just not going to act. I'm just going to like say these words the way that I feel right now. Cause I think this is actually how the character is feeling. And it was like amazing. I thought I did great. I watched the playback and I told the director, I was like, please use this take. I don't even want to do another take. Like, I think it's awesome. And he was like, sure. Yeah, I believe you. I think it's great. So I've had times where I've been overcome with, my own stuff going on. But I was able to use it and it worked out really well. So, don't feel like you need to hide yourself when you come on set. I think it's our job to, bring our whole life and our whole heart into it and use it.
Taylor, how do you nurture your working relationship with the director?
I asked them like, do you like to work collaboratively with your actors or do you have a really strong vision in your head that you really are looking for people to get on board with and do that? And I think depending on how they answer, that will really depend how I nurture my relationship with them. Because if they're collaborative, there's going to be a lot of room on set to bring up different ideas or, hey, like, can I do another take? Like, improving this a little bit. Um, and there's a lot more camaraderie, I think, and you get to know each other a little bit more. And then if somebody has a really strong vision that they're like, this is how it needs to go, this is what I see, that is a lot more from me. Are you getting what you're looking for? Do you have any notes for me? Um, I often will be like, this I can see this project's really important to you. Thank you for having it on board. I just try to not, I don't know, not be myself, but be the actor that they, want to hire. Because we're in a working relationship at the time, and I can flex to collaborative or to like, okay, these are my train tracks. Am I staying on them?
So, some directors think that their job is only to get the best out of an actor.
Mm-hmm.
Some directors
Mm-hmm.
think that their job is to get the best out of everything else, and then they
Mm-hmm.
leave the performance as long as it's within range to the actors.
I've experienced a lot of directors who are new or maybe not confident in themselves as a director, or they don't know how to translate into actor like language. And that can be really challenging because then, and I can kind of pick up on that really quick, like, oh, they don't really know what they're doing. Like they're trying to be an acting coach, but it's not translating. They don't really understand their script. Like they don't really know. In that situation, I respectfully take it a lot on myself to present suggestions more than ask questions, because I think in that it like helps them translate and then still kind of makes them feel like they're telling us what to do. I don't know. It's kind of this like reverse psychology thing, and I'm not ashamed that I do that. Like it's just what gets it done, and what people respect. So yeah, but most people who are new, they just say that and they're like, I want to work with you guys, and I'm open to your ideas. And it's like, okay, let's get to work. Let's like really understand this scene.
I want my director to even tell me how to sneeze or how to breathe, because it's his vision and he is looking into it, and he sees that it's not real. And if he doesn't think it's real, the audience is not going to think it's real either.
I think the biggest things that actors, I just want to know that I'm trusted and respected as a performer. And I want my directors to know that I respect and trust them as a director. And we could just have open dialogue with each other. Um, and that relationship is different from person to person.
Your director has already told you that you ask me anything, you are a part of my team, you're going to tell me what to do, you're going to tell me what not to do before you land on the set. Any questions you have regarding the scene, the script, anything will be answered to you prior to. And then you
Mm-hmm.
show up and you say, but it's not done that way. Do you expect the director to accept it because it's you?
If that's a rule that the director has for their set, that needs to be respected. And as an actress, I would absolutely respect that and get all my questions out, get all of my, can we do this, try this out, if that's welcome during the rehearsal process.
Yeah.
Um, it, because it's not, like, I'm not making the movie, like I'm not pouring my, I'm not funding this thing. I'm not, it's not my story. Like I'm just a servant to it. And like the head of the snake, the director, like they're doing all of that stuff, and it's not my job to like say how the production's going to go. I would be a little sad, I think, because I think the closer that you get to a script and the closer that you get to your castmates and your characters, new ideas will just come up, and it would be kind of sad for something to come up and be like, we didn't rehearse that, I have to put that away. Like that would be a sad feeling, but it's like, you know what, I can do that some other time, but not here.
I tend to rehearse a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and I rehearse for Trapped. We rehearse through Zoom meetings, and it was
Mm-hmm.
very clear to my actors that you can ask me whatever you want to ask me. You can change whatever you want to change. I even go out to the actors saying to them, would you say this like that? If you won't say it like that, keep my meaning but change the words, and I don't care.
Right.
And I believe that, to me, that's as far as I can go. But once you get on set, you get on set. Once you're there, you're there. Then I'm not changing.
Yeah, there's so many other moving pieces to think about. It's kind of like, okay, the acting's taken care of, they know what they're doing. I need to focus on other moving parts. And I think actors should have a good working sense of how um
At that point.
like different, yeah, like different departments, how the set works and what all the director's thinking about, because it's like not all about you and your part in your performance. Like you need to take some agency there.
No,
So
but
I get it.
knowing actors as friends, not actors who worked with me, just knowing other actors who are just friends, actors like models are very unique humans. Just like
Sure.
directors are also very unique humans. Everybody's
Hmm.
unique in their own right. And I believe that the modeling uniqueness is different than the acting uniqueness. And I
Yeah.
believe that the actors have this. I have yet to come across one actor who feels the way, who feels otherwise, other than the way you just mentioned. You said you
Mm.
want to be a part of the script, but uh, and you don't want to be just a little cog. Is that coming from wanting to be uh, better for the project, or is it coming from wanting to be better for yourself?
You signed up to do this as your job for however long it was, and to be a professional, you do your best to um, be faithful to the script, be faithful to the character, and it doesn't really matter how you feel about it, like because it's your job. Like that's kind of my take on it. Also, knowing if you're not getting anything else from the project, you are exercising your acting skills. You're getting another rep. You're um, becoming better. So I think you have to have both at all times. It should always be um, I should always be sharpening myself, and I should also be giving the best that I possibly can, because that's my job. Like, what else are you doing? Like waiting for something that really matters to like give it your all? Like, no, it all really matters. Life is happening now. You're acting now. Like go for it.
Tilla, do you think you would want to get into directing in the future?
I think I would have to have a really compelling story that was near and dear to my heart, that I felt like I was the best person to tell it in the capacity of a director. Um, I and I don't feel like I have anything in my life that has that strong of a pull right now. I'm much more interested at this stage in my life, exploring different stories and exploring people and just how they work, and um, trying to bring that to life as realistically as possible. So I don't want to say no. If that ever becomes a curiosity, I would probably open the door. I think it would grow me as an actress a lot. But I think it would take that really special, important story to me to do that.
Where can someone find Taylor? If they're looking for a great actress, tell them your website and however they can contact you. And the other thing, what is on the horizon for you?
I'm preparing for a role right now that's going to be in DC. I'm playing a high school mean girl, and I am so excited about it. Um, yes, that shoots like next week, and I think it'll be so fun. Um, I'm really looking forward to
You're
that.
not
I
mean.
think,
You don't come across mean. How are you doing it?
you'll just have to watch the movie. I'll send it to you and be like, how did I do? No, I'm not naturally mean, but I think that's what's kind of fun. Is it's like, oh, I just seem so different. So that'll be great. I'm also going to be focusing a lot more on training, I think, after this movie is done. Trying to make my way out to Los Angeles for pilot season, and try to get out there a lot more next year for training and such. So that's kind of what's projected right now. And then if you want to reach me, follow my journey. I'm most active on Instagram. It's at Taylor Abigail Rice. It's my first, middle, and last name. And my website is taylораbigail.com. There is a contact form on there. You're also welcome to go into my Instagram DMs.
Taylor, pleasure talking to you, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Ejaz. I love this conversation.